but okay, normally I was planning to come, but I could not, so I'm sorry. Next year I'm coming to Smalltalks. So what I want to present to you, this is a bit what we are doing in Faro. So I hope that you know what Faro is. This is a MIT license working on several platforms, great community. Now I want to restate what is our goal. So our goal, this is really to create an ecosystem where we can make business and you can make business. And that's really important for us. So we want that you can make business with Faro. And this is really important. So I repeat it again. So we really want to create an ecosystem. By ecosystem, what we mean is that you can that we can use Faro to teach, that we can use Faro to make research, and also to make money on really concrete software. So for us, what is really important is that we really want to work on the infrastructure so that we can really build our own future. And that in the future we don't have to say, oh yes, let's do everything in JavaScript because JavaScript is better. No. So what we are doing right now is that we are really rethinking a bit the system, and we will continue to do that. Before going into the detail of what we are doing, I want just to display some success story. So that's for us, this is very important. So I will not go into the detail, but the key message is that we want more success story. So if you do something with Faro, send us some screenshots like that, we can advertise it inside the website. And this is really important that people know that there are solutions and that there are people doing cool stuff in Faro. For example, the last time there was a guy that came to the Faro conference that we organized, and he said, yes, you know, I'm controlling in hotel reservation rooms when people register their iPad to surf internet or I don't know what in the UK, this is done in Faro. So I said, wow, this is cool. So, yes, we really want to have really an engine to invent our own future. And so I just did a little summary of what we did since May 2008. And yes, we work a lot, in fact. And what you see is that, for example, in Faro 1.4, we got something like 800 updates and changes and fixes. For 2.0, we are already, the numbers are wrong. So we should be already around 800. And I don't want to go into the detail because this can be boring. What the key main things that we want to do since Faro 1.4 is that we will do a main release and two subsequent versions, one that is the summer maintenance release and one the full maintenance release, so that people can really get the most important bugs fixed in the system. We are really concerned about the fact that people are doing software, and then sometimes you don't want to be influenced by the latest fix that we are doing because maybe it can break your system. We are always trying to take that into account. In our team, we are really now creating a company around Moose, and for us this is also really important to have a stable system so that people can focus on selling the solution and not fighting because we introduce bugs. But this is really important to understand that if we want a better system, this system has to evolve somehow. So there is nothing like a free lunch, and then we are trying to do the best. And of course, we are not very satisfied with what we are doing, but we are trying to improve, and this is like that. So I want to show you a bit. I want to discuss a bit the roadmap that we got for 2.0. What I also really suggest you to read if you have a bit of time, or at least you browse it. This is the Faro Vision. There is this document that you can find on the Faro website that explain why we are doing certain things. And you see sometimes people don't really understand or think that we are doing a bit stuff randomly, but this is far from the case. So typically we started more than a year ago to work on a serializer. And why we want a serializer and a fast serializer like Fuel? This is because we wanted to remove the old one, and also because we want to be able to do binary load. And Guillermo will show you what we are doing with Hazelnut. So in the future, we will have a system where probably the compiler is not loaded, that we can load the compiler really fast based on Fuel. But you see, it takes time, but we have the vision. And the vision is described in this document. We want to have a really small kernel where we can load things really fast and deploy also. And we want to deploy by construction the system and not by shrinking the pieces that are unused. So we are doing some experiments, so with a Padel on this mini image, and Guillermo show you what we are doing with Hazelnut. So Hazelnut is really promising. We want to have a bootstrap system. And the idea is not just to do it for fun or because this is an academic exercise. We want to have a bootstrap system because when you bootstrap the system, you have to remove all the stones that are in the way, like pool dictionaries that are not expressed as shared dictionaries and things like that. So, and this is really important for the agility of the system. We want also to be able to say the state of the system. What is the state of the system at T0? How do I control what processes are running and cleaning the system? So from the engineering point of view and software engineering quality of the system, this is important. And then after, you can open a lot of new experiments, because if we have a kernel that is 150K or 200K, we can really do a lot of things. So from 2.0 we are working on, but this was not the right priority. This is really, we want to have an integration process. So this means how do we build Pharo daily based on Metacelo. So it will come because this is really something that we want. We want to have a seed plus Metacelo specification, and that you reproduce a new system. So that's why we are also investing on Metacelo and on tools that is called Versioner, so that people can produce more easily Metacelo config file. From the tool point of view, we are investing into a spec which is a UI builder. Right now it is not visual. Right now what we have with spec we can define widgets and compose them together. And then the next step, this is to build a UI tool that generates the metadata. So usually people do the inverse. They focus on the UI builder, the UI painter, where you can drag and drop the widgets, but you cannot reuse what is produced. So we want to reuse, and we did some experiment with spec, and then now we are rewriting everything. So there is a new browser that is called Nautilus, and we will rewrite Nautilus with spec in the future. We completely integrated a file system that we also commented and cleaned a bit. We wrote a chapter on that. There is also a new package object inside the system. We want to get rid of package info because package info was robust, but was a lot of noise around and information that was not up to date. We are also removing the system change notification to really use announcement everywhere. And something that is now in the system is that we have the package metadata. So the idea is that we want to run small lint, and so that people can mark as false positive and say, I know that this method is too long, don't tell it to me 20 times. Because one of the problems is that we don't use the tools like small lint because this is boring. This is boring that the system always reports the same false positive all over. So we want to do it once, and this means that like that we will be able also to automatically run rules on the server, and we can. The next step will be to do a kind of certification of the package. That you publish a package, we load everything, we run the test, we run the checks, and we know, okay, can we certify it? And if we certify it, this means that maybe, for example, we have 90% of the test and the rules that are green. And it's very important for the community so that we can see the quality of the code produced. And we will offer an infrastructure for that, so that people can just publish their code and they get... So there is a lot of work that is done by the community. So for example, there was work on better widgets, like merging the multi-selection and the simple selection widgets, handling much better
the text editor. There is also a work done by Guillermo that is on key mapper, so this means that I want to have Emacs bindings inside the system, and maybe you don't like Emacs binding and you should be able to plug another one. The serializer, we now are using Fuel, that is much faster than the other one. We have a new full proxy that was also done by Mariano. The Opal compiler will be in preview in 2.0, so this means that in Pharo 3 we will remove the old compiler. Igor showed you Athens, vector graphics user interface. In 2012, this is the minimum, I think. And so that we can compete with JavaScript and other languages. So for example, 10 minutes ago, Esteban showed me that he did a little tool to have a kind of IDE or a simple workspace where you execute an expression, and in fact this is like a processing, the language processing. This is a language for people to visually program some sequences and visual actions. So we have the same now in Pharo. We want to, something very important is that now we have a native boost, and Igor, I don't know if Igor already presented or he will present that soon. So we have native boost, and on the other hand, and we have FFI. We want to unify both, and to have a really good solution that, because right now this is the mess. You have Alien on one hand, you have FFI, you have native boost. We want one public API for everybody, and behind the scene, you can use either native boost or FFI. So Dale is really working on this package distribution infrastructure. We will see when this is ready, we will use probably Git, but it should be really working well. There is somebody that is also working on a PDF generation framework, so that we can do reports. For the network, there was a lot of improvement on Zinc, Zodiac for the HTTPS, and recently we got WebSockets, and this is important. And people at Douai are working on a new version of Remote Smalltalk for Pharo. What we did, some things that do not look important like that, but that are important, is that in Pharo 1.4, we proposed and designed and integrated a source code infrastructure, and we are rebuilding all the tools based on that. The idea is that all the tools, this meta model has the same API as normal Smalltalk object. So this means that in the future, or even right now, we will be able to use the same browser to browse a file that is on the disk, or a file that is on a class that is on the database, or your Smalltalk living object. And what we will start to do now, this is to build tools on top of that. So to help merging, for example, when you do a lot of development, that we can have tools to understand the merge, the branch, and all these kinds of stuff. So in the future, we will probably think we want to have all the version of the system into a database. We want to be able to do a version. I want to know, for example, give me the version of the package in which that was the last time that this class was there. Because sometimes when you are doing development and of large projects, you ask yourself such kind of question, and this is very difficult to get the info. So sometimes you have to load by hand previous version up until the one that you find. We are also working on a better chain sorter infrastructure, and we will see that in the future. So this is what I was saying about Athens, but Igor did the presentation. So the next step is really to finish the new text model that is better for streaming and Cairo-like backend. And after we will adapt Morphic, because we want to have the complete user interface to run on that. And Athens is really acting as an API. We want to be able to have an API where all the canvas should be expressed into this API, and then after we have different backends like that, we can have OpenGL or Cairo or whatever in the future. And for Opal, so we want really to have a much more flexible compiler so that we can build much better tools. So in the future, we will probably improve the code editing experience by using an AMSAC syntax tree, and we will see. So we really want to have a new generation of tools, because right now the problem is that Smalltalkers are thinking they have the best environment, but when you look at Eclipse, the code completion and things like that are much better, so we should kick our ass and do that. So normally the decompiler is nearly finished, and the idea is also to improve the API, but that will be in a second step. So for Fuel, I guess that some of you know it. So we don't use image segment anymore, and Fuel is faster. So the next step is very interesting. This is really to have a binary code loader. So like that, we will be able to have kind of parcel, like in VisualWorks, but for Faro and based on Fuel. So Native Boost, I already say it. And one of the ideas is to see if we can rewrite some of the primitive based on Native Boost. But the key challenge we should merge all this API of Native Boost, FFI. We should write a real documentation so that people can really get their job done. And we want to clean also Alien, FF5, Native Boost to have one good solution. So normally this is the work in December. That's planned for December for Esteban and Igor. We in 2.0 we started to throw away all the string holder hierarchy, and we are making progress on that front. So if you want to join, you are welcome, because it's some work to do. And Native Boost support refactorings and groups, plugin. We should pay attention that Native Boost does not become a huge system, so we need to have feedback from users. So we did a lot of work at the VM level to expand the knowledge. It's really important that people can compile the VM on their local machines, that the VM is not something arcane, and that people start to understand it better. So something that is really, really, really important is that the code of the VM, everything that we are doing is open. You can get access to it. It is in Git. You don't need our password to access the code. You can fork it. You can propose enhancement. And we don't control that part. So this means that it took me a while to understand what was the difference between Git and SVN, but for me, the most important aspect, this is the social aspect behind it. So this means that you can publish your change and people can cherry pick if they want. And that's really important. So we work a lot on a build system so that the virtual machine automatically builds. Igor spent a lot of time so that the virtual machine is compiled with the Cairo plugin on each platform, and then all this stuff should be automated. As a virtual machine developer or maintainer, you should not do stupid, boring tasks. You should focus on the real added value. So for us, the next step, this is really the traceability and the branding. We should have the Faro logo and things like that. And by traceability, it means that when people report a bug, we should know exactly what was in the virtual machine code and what was loaded into the image, so that we can do a better job. And I really want to insist, it's really important that everybody now is able to build a VM on his own machine. And I think that now we are redoing the README installation and things like that. And if you have problems with that, you should really tell us. Also, what we really want, we want to build all the system and test all the system every time, all the time. So now, since a week, we are beta tester, because we were beta tester for Jenkins, for Inria, and then we fill up too much disk space and things like that. So now, in fact, when we were beta tester of the first proof of concepts of Jenkins. And they saw that this is really important. So now Inria is delivering at the national level an offer for Jenkins, and we are migrating everything there. And for us, this is really important. We want all this stuff to be automated, and all the test regression like the PyPy people. If you go to the PyPy community, you go on the website and you see all the virtual machine, the regression, perversion, and things like that. So we want to really get to this level. So now, something really important. We have been working since November 2009, I imagine, something like that, on the idea to build a consortium. Because if you remember, maybe some of you remember, but Marcus and me were part of the 4 guys that started the Squid Foundation. And now what we did with INRIA is that we started to see what is the shape of a structure that can help Pharo. And the idea this is, how do we sustain the development of Pharo? How can we make sure that the infrastructure continues to improve? How do we help the community to structure itself? And because sometimes we have a company that came and said, yes, I would like to pay you because you are doing a good job, but we don't have the structure for that. So, and I don't want that a company pay my team, which is a research team, when it should pay a structure that is where the goal is to really improve Pharo. And what is really important is that we should be able that we keep good people and that they work for us. So it's good to be in an open source community, but the key point is how can we make sure that we don't rely on people's free time, even if we will do, but at the minimum. So the consortium, so right now, it has been launched. So we sent 2 days ago. We sent the first official version described in a PDF of the legal aspects. And right now, what we decided that INRIA will manage it because this is really boring. It's paperwork, signing contracts, and signing stuff and handling money, and they can do that much better than us for the moment. I said for now because one of the goals is that the consortium is autonomous. What we want in the future is that we want to have an infrastructure, a company or association that will take what we build with INRIA and that will be the Pharo consortium structure. But for now, for the bootstrap and to see if we can collect enough money, INRIA is managing. So the idea of the consortium is that we will have everything except individual people, because we could not manage really well individual people for now. So possible members of a consortium are companies, institutions like research groups, user groups. When you will be a member of the consortium, you will have a privileged access to the core development. So this means that like that, if you have really a problem and you need that somebody have a look or give you important feedback, you will be able to do it. You, as a member, you will also be able to influence the priorities. So there will be a steering committee and an executive committee, and the executive committee will propose a list, and this list of action will be discussed in the steering committee, and you will have also some engineering support time. So this means that if you need that some bugs that are really killing you and that exist in Pharo are fixed, you will have a certain amount of days where we can allocate engineers and have some job posts and some special prices. What I show you here, this is also the discussion. This consortium took time because we started to propose something and then we asked the community and the community gave us feedback and back and go. So, what does it change for you, the people using Pharo? Nothing. Nothing. Pharo will be free. It will be the same license because we could have changed. INRIA was asking us, why don't you have a special license for the Pharo consortium member? We don't want to have 2 licenses. We have 1 license for everybody. Pharo will stay free. And there will be normally no negative impact. This is just that you will have the possibility to give money and the possibility for Pharo to get more credibility, because that's really important. So I want that you can be proud to say, yes, this system is built on Faro, go on the website, and then boom, boom, there is VMware as a golden consortium member. And yes, there is VMware, this is not public yet, but there is 99% of chance that VMware is a golden consortium member for Faro. So that's really cool, because people outside the community, when I said Faro and I said, oh, you know, VMware is a golden sponsor, they said, wow. And this is what we want to have. This is really this idea that because we are all together, we are much stronger than the sum of us. So there will be also consortium sponsors with 2 levels, and the consortium sponsors, they will just have their logo on the website. The tuition, so we have 3 levels of tuition: gold, silver, and bronze. This is explained in the document, so I don't want to go into detail, but the idea is that if you are gold, you have more days of engineering and more stuff, and you are also a sponsor. So the first public release of the legal text was 2 days ago, so that's cool. And we hope to have a beta of the website by 2 weeks from now. Now what is cool is that INRIA put on the table the salary of Esteban, so 60,000 euro. And what is really cool is that they accepted they accepted to pay 1 extra year for Igor. Now, what is really important to consider is that this money does not just happen by accident. We wrote files, we participated to meetings, we showed numbers, we said, yes, there are that many people that are interested in Faro, there are that many companies that want to pay and participate into the consortium, and a lot of work behind the scene for this result. But what is really important is that we could get this because some people said, yes, Faro is interesting and I want to support it. And INRIA is sensitive to that. This is that INRIA, we are a research institute, but we are a research institute that want to have an impact on real life. And from that perspective, Faro fits well. Even if for us, Faro is less research than what we do, it's still an outcome of the team somehow. So I hope that we will have enough companies interested so that we can pay 1 full-time engineer, because we will use it well. We have plenty of things to do. So since INRIA cannot manage little money like 40 euro for the membership, we decided, so we created a Faro association that is really for individuals. And we have two membership fee, one that is premium and one that is normal. The goal, in fact, at the end, is that the association will manage the consortium. That would be a success, because it would mean that the consortium does not need INRIA anymore. But we will see. And the idea, again, this is that via the association, everybody can participate, and that with the money that we collect, we can really participate to bounties, or to support people to go to conferences, to promote Faros, or we will see. We will see how we will manage that. And the website, the beta website, should be out this week. So that's cool. We have Faro books, Faro by example, translated to French, Spanish, so it should be soon out. And there are Japanese and German translations started. We are working on a new book that is called Deep into Faro. We have already 300 pages. So we need a reviewer. If you want to read something, you can. This is on the Faro by example 2 website. Something really important is that the future that we get is that this is what we do today. And what is really important is that we really want to build this infrastructure so that in the future we can do something different. And this means that every single contribution is important. So it also means that you can get an impact. And really everybody can help. You can report bugs, you can confirm a bug. You can say, no, this bug does not exist on my machine. Or it was working at that time, but now it's not relevant anymore. You cannot imagine the amount of time that we spend on the bug tracker. You can write tests, write example, write comment, do some simple contribution, or participate to discussion, and all this stuff at the end counts. There are also the open sprint. So you see the first one we started in May 2008. I saw that we got one in Buenos Aires in 2010, and then we got one in November in Puerto Madrid, I guess not Puerto Madrid, but that's also a way to have fun and to contribute. So this is the end of my talk. Feel free to join, and now I can answer questions if you want.
Okay, let me ask Stefan if there are any questions. Questions? Hey, Steph, I have a question here. When is the individual contribution going to be available? Because the last time we wanted to do it,
You mean for the association?
for the Faro user.
So,
Yeah, as individual.
yeah, it should be, if you go to Faro or it's in. We were just waiting, blah, 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 all the crap. So it is working, and we were just waiting. We will put a beta tag on the website and release it. So normally, after the talk, I will synchronize with Esteban, and that should be out. So it's now.
Okay. It's now. Any other question? I have a question. I have a question. How hard is to keep the research part of what you're doing with the business part, with what you're doing? Because you're making a lot of changes, and you said that in the presentation is affecting the people that is doing business. So do you have a set of rules about the changes that you're making? What are the priorities? How do you decide that?
So, yeah. So what I can tell you is that 90% of what we are doing in research does not go into Faro. You see, just to give you a concrete example, Jean-Baptiste is working on first-class references. That will never go into Faro. If you remember the class boxes of Alex, we could have said, oh yes, now that we are doing Faro, let's push class boxes inside, because this is a cool package mechanism. Of course, we wrote this wonderful paper at Uppsala, which is the best conference in the world, so it should be in Faro. No, it is not in Faro, it will never be in Faro. Because the business model of a researcher, this is to invent ideas, it's not to validate them for real. And what we check is that Fuel is fully engineered, fully tested. We saw that this is better than image segment, because the PhD of Mariano at the beginning, I said, Mariano, I want that you work on image segment, and I would like to have image segment plus because this is cool. And Mariano took the paper, took the code, built an experiment, several tests, several benchmarks, and at the end he told me, Stefan, sorry, but we can image segments are not that cool. We said, okay. And then we started to build fuel. So you see, typically there is a lot of things that will never go from the research into Faro. And in the team we have really engineering people, and we know when we do research, and we know when we do Faro, the engineering part. So for example, what I want better tools, I want better things to control the rules, I want from the engineering part. After, for example, the last thing that we did, there is always this discussion, yes, we want namespace into Faro. So what I propose as a master topic, I said, okay, you know what, I don't want that you design a new module system. I want that you write a discussion of what are all the axes and possible variation of the different aspects of what would be a module system for dynamic language. What are the pros and cons of everything? We will release this document, because like that we can discuss, understand, oh yes, shit, if we do that, it's cool from the engineering, from the research perspective, but it will break all the tools, or it will have a real impact, or whatever. So you see, I would say that moving something from the research to the engineering and to Faro requires that this is really working well, and that we are sure that this is worth the effort. So, for example, from the language perspective, what we really want, this is to have a first-class instance variable, because like that we can do much clever things than just having description on the class side and tags and blah. Now, Camillo did this prototype in 2011. It works on their system, it is on Faro, they show that this is cool and things like that. We didn't integrate it because we have to rewrite it. We have to rewrite the class builder first. The class builder has to work fully. Then we have to really see how we can introduce it in a more backward compatible way. So you see, we pay really attention to this aspect.
Okay.
After,
okay, cool.
Because in the engineering part, sometimes really bad code or stuff that are broken or things like that, and for us that has nothing to do with research. This is, let's fix the system because it does not work. You know, like throwing away all the code of the file, the way the files were managed, that was so ugly. You know, if it takes me 20 minutes to write a code to rename files in the folder, there is something wrong. Because I know what is a file, I know what is a file name, and now we can do it in 2 lines, even less. So you see, the research part is really what is on the paper. And from time to time, we move things to Faro.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. We are running out of time, so thank you.